one. So I am doing this one here is the mid-year book Freakout tag. I usually try to do this one every year. So the first question is, best book you've read so far this year? I will say I've had a lot of duds this year, but one book that I really did enjoy when I read it was The Boyfriend Goal by Lauren Blakely. That one I really, really enjoyed. It was such a sweet romance where you have these characters that end up becoming roommates with each other, and they start to fall for each other, you know? And this was one, I believe, I don't have my Goodreads available, but I believe this one here had it to where it was a one-night stand and it turned into roommates for them. And also, I think her brother, it was like a teammate of his, because he plays hockey. And yeah, that one there I really enjoyed. It was such a slow, cute romance where it wasn't like super fast. Like obviously they got together like, you know, that one night stand. But this one here, it's like the more they're around each other, the more they were starting to have feelings for each other, like deeper feelings, more than like bow chicka wow wow, you know? It was more than that. So I like the way the author had did this, you know, because sometimes you get like those ones that are like starting out as a one night stand and then they kind of like keep banging it out until they start to have feelings. I don't always like those ones, but this one here I did like, to where he was kind of like, he was trying his best to kind of stay away from her. Like, well, you know, now that I know it's like, you know, my teammate's sister, you know, that I slept with, I'm going to try to be a good boy, you know? And so I did like the way this story had went, and it was really sweet. It was a really sweet story. So I liked that one a lot, you know? So yeah, I'd have to say that one there would be probably one of my favorites this year. So number 2 is best sequel you've read so far this year. There's 2 books I definitely would say that they're a part of a series. One is Iron Kissed. I started the Mercy Thompson series and I've been really enjoying that series, but Iron Kissed, that book there, 6-star for me. It was very emotional. Also, there's some triggers to it. You know, if you delve into that series, that book there does have a trigger. You know, there is some content warnings in there, so definitely be aware of those if you're going to go and delve into the Mercy Thompson series. But that one there, the situation that happened in that book, I felt like was written very well, that it really put me to where I was like, holy crap, that book is a 6-star for me. And like I said, I don't want to, you know, delve too much. Check out my vlogs, you know, you'll see my thoughts there. But that one there was definitely like a 6-star for me. That was really well done for like when it came to like a sequel book. The next one I would say I really liked, a part of a series, was Living with Her Fake Fiance. That one there, another 6-star for me. It was really good. But it's like the 3rd book in that series. I do feel like you can read that book series right there. You can read them as a standalone. But with the other series, with Iron Kissed for the Mercy Thompson, you definitely have to start with like the 1st book. But those ones there I thought were really good. Sequels. Better, I'd say better than, you know, the previous book before, you know. But yeah, those ones there I really, really liked a lot. Number 3 is new release you haven't read yet from this year, but you want to. I'm going to have to go and check my Kindle and see if there's any books that have released this year that I want to read and I just haven't gotten to them yet. I'll have to put them right here because I honestly, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. But I know there's probably books that I've probably downloaded onto my Kindle that came out this year that I want to read and get to. So we'll see. But yeah, I'll put them right there. So the next one is most anticipated release for the second half of 2025. I probably would say there's another book coming out for Claire Kent for this Century Cities series. It's coming out, I think, in October or November. I'm looking forward to that one. That one I do know is coming out in like a few months, I think, around there. I don't know if there's anything else that's going to be coming out soon that I'm looking forward to, because I read a lot of indie authors, and sometimes they don't let you know that a book's going to be released until like maybe like a month from release, you know? So sometimes I don't know what's coming up, you know? It's not like it is with traditional media where it's like, okay, this book, you know, is going to be like released in 6 months or something like that. A lot of times with indie authors, sometimes they don't even know when they're going to release the book, you know? It all depends on the author. So number 5 is biggest disappointment this year. I would have to say Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. There was how many people who were like hyping that book up, and I got into it and I was like, I thought it was okay, but I really felt like it was very formulaic. It was like, it kind of like hit all the beats of like what you would say a typical romance is. But it didn't impress me. It failed to impress me. I'll just say that. I have usually bigger issues when it comes to more traditional books. I'm really have not been impressed with traditional books lately. I've been really disappointed in them a lot. So whenever I pick up a traditional book, I'm always going into it like, oh God, I hope I like it. I hope I like it, because a lot of them lately have been very disappointing. So I'd have to say that book there, it just really failed to impress me when it came to the romance. And I was like, you know what? I'm not interested in reading the second book. I'm good. It was like a cowboy romance and all that stuff, you know, but yeah, I felt like, you know, it was just too, formulaic, you know? Yeah. Very, very, very disappointing. Number 6 is biggest surprise this year. I'd have to say there's 2 that were a surprise for me. One is, I would say, is My Roommate is a Vampire. There were some people who were kind of like giving it like a lower rating, and it was like how they were kind of like, oh, it's okay. One person I follow, she actually really liked it. So I was like, you know what? I want to check it out, because she liked it. I may like it too. And I would say I was putting that book off. I was putting it off. I finally was like, you know what? There's an audiobook for it. Let me just listen to the audiobook, right? And so I listened to it and I'm like, you know what? It was actually pretty good. It was actually, I actually liked it. I really loved the secondary character in there, Reginald. He was so funny. But I liked the character, now I can't remember their names. I liked the main character. He was a vampire. And so he was sleeping for a while. And so he missed a lot of like, you know, like if you're sleeping for how many years, you know, you don't know what like the current dating life is like for people dating and all that stuff. What type of like places are open, you know, how you dress, you know, and all that stuff is going to change over the years. So he's been asleep for like 100 years, I think. And so Reginald, who is basically like his, I don't know, I guess you'd say he's like almost like his familiar. I think that's what it was. But it was basically like Reginald's a vampire too. So he was kind of like giving him tips, but some of the tips were like, some of the tips were just funny. And I just laughed out loud because Reginald was just like, hey, just go and do this. And the other guy, like I said, I can't remember the main character's name. I'm so bad with names. He was like, I'm not going to do that. You know, it was funny. It was funny. I liked the heroine, you know, where, you know, first when she finds out he's a vampire, she kind of freaks out a little bit, but then she kind of like gets over it. And then it's them living together and falling in love with each other. And it was a sweet romance. I really enjoyed it. And I definitely want to read the second book. I'm actually intrigued with the second book, and I do want to check it out. And that one has Reginald in it, and I want to check it out because I liked Reginald. Reginald was funny. He was so funny. He cracked me up when I was listening to that. So that one there, I definitely say was a surprise. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was pretty good. The next surprise for me was First Time Caller. I have tried reading Became Borson before, and I DNF'd, like, I think it was maybe like one of her Christmas books or something like that. But I really wasn't interested in reading anything else by that author. And then Book of the Month had went and released that book, First Time Caller, and I'm like, you know what? Let me choose it for my month. You know, I'm actually getting to the point where I'm going to probably cancel my Book of the Month because I haven't been enjoying, or, you know, haven't been interested in any of the books lately that they have been releasing. So I've already skipped over, I think this is like my third or fourth month now that I've skipped over the books. And I'm like, at that point, just cancel. So I'm pretty much going to probably cancel like very soon. And so when I picked up that book, I was like, you know what? We'll see. And then it was available through audio, and I'm like, okay, I could listen to it. I really enjoyed that book a lot. I really liked it, you know? You have this heroine who, you know, she got together with her baby daddy, and it was more of like they were friends, and obviously they were, you know, giving each other their first time and everything, and obviously her baby daddy realized he's gay, you know, so he realized he's gay. You know, that'll be a pretty quick indicator right there, where it's like, you know, if you got a man who's like, I'm not sure if I'm gay or not, you know, but you test out the vajay and they realize that I don't like the vajay, I like the peen, you know. You know, I like sausage, I don't like taco. So yeah. So he obviously realized he was gay. And he has someone who's, you know, his husband. So he's happily, you know, married and in a relationship. I think the husband's name was Mateo. But they were very sweet. And her baby daddy was very protective of her. And I loved that for him, that he was so protective of her. And I loved that it wasn't a toxic ex. They were very much like close and best friends. He just was gay, you know? So if he was straight, I'm sure they would have been married. So I liked that aspect to it. And I liked that, you know, she was looking for love. She wanted, you know, to find someone to love her, you know? And I love the fact that it was very much like a switcheroo, like, if anybody's watched Sleepless in Seattle, the movie that had Tom Hanks in it, where his son calls up the radio station to try to get his father, like, a wife, you know, a girlfriend or something like that. So it's very much like a switch, you know. So it's like basically like a retelling of Sleepless in Seattle, where the daughter calls up the radio talk show, and it's with this guy named Aiden, and he's very much I'd say like kind of like bitter toward love because he's seen too much like bad things and all that stuff. And then, you know, he's had like some trauma in his past that he was kind of like working through and everything. And I just really enjoyed the story. It didn't like happen like super fast, which I was glad for, because I hate the ones that are like they get together way too quickly, or it's insta lust or insta love. This here, it's like the more time they spent with each other, talking with each other about what she wanted in a relationship and finding like a boyfriend for her, the more Aiden's like, hey, I like her for myself. So I really enjoyed that one. I thought it was really sweet, really, really well done. And yeah, that was I'd say a surprise for me, because I was like, you know what? I may not like this book. And I actually shocked. I actually liked it. So number 7's favorite new author, I would definitely say Patricia Briggs, because I've been really enjoying the Mercy Thompson series. I think it's really well done. I really like urban fantasy. It's such an interesting like subgenre, because high fantasy for me can be very confusing. I feel so dumb when I read fantasy, because, and in romantasy, it can kind of like get where there's not enough like fantasy elements in it, and then you got like too much romance going on, or it could be having it to where there's not enough romance going on, and there's too much fantasy, so that can be kind of like tricky, you know. So I don't always want to delve into romantasy personally, but urban fantasy I totally like. I really, really dig urban fantasy, and I really want to go and find more urban fantasy that I can read. And I've been really enjoying that series by Patricia Briggs. And once I'm done with that series, I plan on delving into other books of hers as well. So number 8 says newest fictional crush. I don't really have crushes on fictional characters, but I'd say one character I really like is Adam from the Mercy Thompson series. I really like him because he's a alpha werewolf, and I do like the fact that he's very patient with Mercy, because Mercy and him, you know, kind of like, you know, he wants her for his mate, and she's been kind of like, you know, kind of almost pushing him away a little bit. So I like the fact that he's been patient with her, that he is very protective of her. And there was a scene in Iron Kiss, if you read the series, there was a scene in Iron Kiss that I was like, thank you, Adam. Thank you, Adam. He's a good character. I really like him a lot. But yeah, like as a crush, no, I wouldn't say I have a crush on him, but I do like him. I think he's an interesting character, and I like him a lot. I love him for Mercy. I'll just say that. I love him for her. The next character I would say that I actually was a really big fan of was Brent, and Brent was from Living with Her Fake Fiance. I really loved him. He was such a sweetie. He was such a sweetheart because he was so shy. And that's a thing I like, I want to see more characters of, is that not every hero you come across is going to be an extrovert who's comfortable in his own skin. Sometimes you're going to come across a character that is very shy, not comfortable in their skin, and you just need somebody who's going to help bring out that, you know, bring them out, open up their shell, you know. I very much was like, you know, very shy, and it, you know, I had to come out of my shell. And so that's basically what it is with this character of Brent. He very much had to kind of like come out of his shell and get more confidence in himself, and really kind of like he needed like that reassurance, you know, as a character. And I really, really liked him. He was such a sweet character. He was such a sweetheart, you know. He was just like so innocent, you know. I liked his character a lot. So he was definitely cool. So the next one is 9 newest favorite character. Well, I'd have to say Mercy Thompson, because I really like her. She's very strong-willed. She's very stubborn, but also she admits her faults. That's something I think is lacking a lot nowadays when it comes to like female heroines, is that a lot of times female heroines have been written lately where they try to like act like they're more of a man, you know, like, oh, I'm strong, I'm independent, I don't need no man, blah, blah, blah. I can kick a guy's ass kind of thing. And I'm like, no, I mean, we're women. Women, we do have certain weaknesses. Could some big burly chick beat up a dude? Yeah, probably. But I mean, that's more of a rare. That's an exception. That's not the rule, you know? Usually when it comes to most women, we tend to be more physically weaker. So when you go and you make all these heroines strong, independent, don't need a man, can take down a whole army by herself, it's not fucking reality, okay? And so I want a character who's more real. You know, I can identify with the character. Obviously, I won't identify with the character fully, but you can go and look at this character and you're like, okay, I can empathize with her. I can sympathize with her. So with Mercy Thompson, I very much have that with her. You know, where some of these other characters, I'm like, I can't empathize with this character or sympathize with them. You know, where I don't even like this character. So that's what makes me like her, is that she's strong, but she also can show you her vulnerabilities, you know? So I also like that too. So the next one is number 10, book that made you cry this year. I definitely would say Iron Kiss, because like I said, there's a scene in there that could be very triggering. So definitely check out the content warnings before you delve into that book. But it just, there was a part afterwards that I was like, I had tears. I was tearing up listening to it. I was tearing up. It was emotional. It was an emotional scene. That one there made me very emotional. And then the book Devotion by Claire Kent, that one there is a part of, it's called Century Cities. I think that's what it's called. I think it's called Century Cities. Or Central City? I think it's Central City. That one there is part of the Kindle series. So you definitely have to delve into the Kindle series before you delve into that series. But that one there, toward the end, I had happy tears. I was happy. I was crying. That one there made me emotional toward the end. That one totally made me emotional. But I did really like that one. So number 11, book that made you happy this year. The only thing I could think of is that besides my first book I talked about, The Boyfriend Goal, I just think this book called Complicated. It was a novella where this younger woman is having, not an affair, but they're kind of like having like one night stands, hookups with this older man. And she ends up finding out that he has a daughter who's like 19. And she's like 30, 31 around there. And so she, was starting to feel feelings for him. And she's like, I don't think he has those feelings for me that I feel for him. And then you come to find out he's actually feeling things for her too. So I thought it was very sweet. I really liked that one. So that one I'd say made me like very happy, because he could have been a total douchebag and was like, oh no, I just want you for sex. But he was very sweet and very like determined. Like, no, I want, he's like, I want, a relationship with you. And I was like, oh, it was really sweet. So that one there I'd say made me happy. Most beautiful book you've bought or received so far this year. I have to go through my books because I can't think of anything. I mean, these ones are pretty, but people might think that these are kind of plain. But I think the design inside is kind of cute. You have this little pattern on the inside. I think that's pretty. But I'll have to go, and if I find any that I have, I'll have to put them like right here. But I couldn't think of anything that I thought was like, oh, it's really pretty. Yeah. Because I haven't picked up a bunch of books this year, but I've picked up, a few. But I don't remember if any of them had a really, really pretty cover, So the last one is, what do you need to read by the end of the year? Oh, I'd say I definitely need to finish off the Mercy Thompson series this year. Every month I've been, reading like 3 books within that series. So I definitely want to get through the rest of that series right there. And then she has another series called Alpha and Omega. And that, so far I have 6 books with that series. So I want to get through that series this year and be done with those ones. But yeah, those are the ones I want to get through. And of course, if there's anything else that comes along this year that's by an indie author that I want to get to, and I'll read that too. But like I said, I don't do a lot of traditionally published books. I do a lot of indie, so sometimes I don't know when a book is going to be released. So, I would say like any other books that are on my Kindle that I have on there that I need to get through, those ones I need to read, for the rest of this year. But nothing really specific. I kind of like go, kind of like as a mood reader, because I don't like making those plans of like, oh, I'm going to read that book. And I'm like, if I'm not really interested in it, I would say like one book that I do need to get through and finish this year is probably that other Lori Gilmore book that just came out recently that was like, has to do with like strawberry something. I read like the first chapter and I ended up, or maybe it was the prologue or something like that. And I ended up like, kind of like soft DNFing it just for the minute, because I wasn't like in the mood for it. So I'm like, whenever I get back in the mood for it, I'll finish that one off. So I'd say that one I hopefully can get done with by this year. So, but that's pretty much it for this video here. If you want to do this tag. I'll leave the questions down below in the description. I hate when people do tags and they don't leave questions. They don't leave the questions. So I always try to leave the questions down below. So yeah, check out my description. I'll leave those questions down below. But yeah, that's it for this video here. Have yourself a good day. Take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and I'll see you all on the next video. All right, bye.